All right, guys, we're going to be going over the S2000, the AP1 to AP2 motor conversion. It's pretty basic, straightforward for the most part. There are a few things that you will need either from a donor motor, your original AP1, or just to buy and source yourself. So first things first, valve cover. If you're going from, this is a 06 to 09 AP2 motor, so needed the AP1 valve cover. Due to the PCV, and also the PCV isn't a huge issue, you can reuse that. The biggest thing were the two cam sensors on the first gen, all the way up to 2005. On the 06 to 09, it only has the one cam sensor. So on 06 to 09, you have this, and the second one's supposed to be right here. So you will need to swap that over, swap back to your AP1, or if you're doing an 04 to 05 AP2 motor, you won't need to do that. The other things are going to be on the back. When you pull you can see the back of the engine. When you pull the valve cover up on the cam and their counter rotating bolts, you will need to remove both of those bolts right here, as well as the reluctor rings, and that's what this magnet will be reading on both of these. It'll read those rings, so you'll need to swap those over from the first generation AP1 to the new motor that you're putting in if you're doing the F22 out of the 06 to 09. You're going to use your factory AP1 harness. You're going to need to do the Izzy block off plate, or there's a few other ways you can do it. I'm doing the Izzy block off plate with the air pump deleter. You see here, you can use the original flywheel and clutch out of your AP1. That's no issue at all. The other thing you'll need to do is you'll need to remove your oil pan and your front timing cover. So you can remove the timing cover without removing the oil pan. However, putting it back on is pretty difficult. Not impossible, but you have your head gasket up here, the little piece of the metal. When you're trying to slide that in, it might get caught up there. You need to get these bolts lined up and everything. And if you are trying to slide it in, you're going to scrape all your RTV back off. So definitely better just to go ahead and drop the oil pan, which you'll need to remove the AC compressor to do. And then there's a little bracket back here. And then you can drop your oil pan down. Then you can pull your timing cover off, and there's going to be the same kind of ring inside of there. You'll swap that from the 06 to 09. You'll put your AP1 reluctor ring back in, as well as the crank sensor. So you will need the crank sensor, reluctor ring, valve cover, both cam sensors, and both cam sensor reluctor rings. Other than that, now's a good time to go and clean things up. Check your pulleys. I painted my, this pulley down here. Painted a couple other things. I swapped over my VTEC solenoid from my AP1 just because it's newer and cleaner. Check your gaskets, seals, whatnot. Obviously you're going to be doing an oil change if you're dropping the pan. I went ahead and put a spoon sports. A little overkill, but while I'm here, do some neat stuff. I had a eBay one, I think, previously, so I'm just trying to do a couple things. You will need the intake manifold from your AP1, to my knowledge. If you're doing the 04 to 05, I believe is still cable, not drive-by-wire, but I could be wrong on that. 06, 09, definitely drive-by-wire. As far as that goes, you obviously, if you're in a 2000 to 2003, your cable. So you're going to need that whole manifold because you have different mounting points and everything. It's a lot easier just to use your original manifold. Now's a good time going and clean it if you want to do a port and polish. Obviously, you're pulling it off anyways. So I didn't. I'm just using my AP1 manifold, rail, injectors. Like I said, I did that block off plate. AP1 throttle body. So yeah, other than that, pretty straightforward swap. We're going to be putting it back in today. Just dropping it onto the mounts, hooking everything up. I'm going to be using the AP1 ECU for now. I will be swapping out an ECU. Just know if you go with K-Pro, you will need to go back to the 06 to 09 reluctor ring and cam and crank sensors. So either hold on to those or look for a different engine management. I'm probably going to be going, with Science of Speed Link ECU. That's what I'm looking at currently. Potentially AEM V2, maybe K-Pro, but I'm not 100% on that yet. Not really sold on doing all that work again, especially with it being in the engine. A little bit more difficult to do. It's not impossible. So these are those reluctor rings on the cams. So if you spin them left, it tightens it. If you spin it right, it loosens it. So just make sure to, remember that when you're removing them. Once you have that, they slide right off. Very simple. And then you have that little dot right there. That needs to be lined up. Just make sure you line it up, and then you tighten them back down. So yeah, I mean, as far as that, nothing too crazy to it. This is with the front timing cover off. The reluctor ring right here will slide off, which I have somewhere underneath this crank. So this is the AP2 one. So if you want to imagine, see if I can get you a good angle. The AP1 looks pretty similar, other than it doesn't have like this little second notch here, and I think they're a little bit thicker. But other than that, I mean, you will need to swap that out so the cam the crank reads correctly. But yeah, that's all.